Hi, I'm Darren Miles with Darren Miles Photography based here in beautiful, sunny Naples, Florida. So, you're a professional who's dabbled in the Micro Four Thirds system and you're a bit frustrated with the lack of fast, wide aperture lenses available for the Micro Four Thirds system today. Now, don't get me wrong, there are a ton of great lenses out there for the Micro Four Thirds cameras from both Olympus and Panasonic. But one area that's been somewhat lacking is really fast glass, complete with autofocus. Well, along comes the Panasonic Nocticron 42.5mm f1.2 with the promise of plugging that fast glass with autofocus hole in the Micro Four Thirds lineup, offering a very useful 85mm full-frame equivalent field of view, which is in most photographers' sweet spot for portraits. Then the 42.5 looks really promising. Now, it's not cheap, but is the quality on a high enough level to justify its really lofty price tag? Well, let's have a look. Alright, so first up is build quality, and this is no kidding the best built lens that I've tested so far in the realm of Micro Four Thirds. It's solid, really solid. It's metal from the lens mount all the way to the lens hood, and it's really big relative to other Micro Four Thirds lenses, coming in at just under 1 pound. That's pretty weighty for a compact system lens. The focus ring is Zeiss-like and buttery smooth, with to me the perfect amount of resistance. It's of really high quality. Now, unlike most other non-manual lenses, this one actually has an aperture ring. It works with the Panasonic bodies, but not with the Olympus bodies. And it rotates and clicks into place nicely. Though in my experience, it's been pretty easy to knock it from its intended aperture setting. So I wish there were like a lock switch, or maybe it was just dampened, maybe, I don't know, just a little bit more tightly. Now on the inside, there are 14 elements in 11 groups, and there are 9 rounded aperture blades. Now in conjunction with the fast f1.2 aperture, the autofocus bokeh rendering is just buttery and silky smooth. And speaking of the aperture, it ranges from f1.2 to f16, and the minimum focus distance is just over 1.5 feet, which is pretty close, but I wouldn't mistake this for a macro lens. Now, one big difference in the Micro Four Thirds world of Panasonic and Olympus is their different approaches to image stabilization. For example, there aren't any Olympus lenses that include IS because the Olympus camera bodies have image stabilization built in. The Pani bodies, on the other hand, do not. Now, what makes this lens so neat is that it actually has IS, and a nice IS switch when using an Olympus body. And the IS works reasonably well. Now, in my experience, it doesn't touch the built-in IS system in the OMD from Olympus, but it's better than nothing. Now, on the downside, Panasonic makes no reference to weather sealing, and I have to say, for a lens that's pushing $1,500, to me, that's almost a travesty. Of course, there are plenty of high-end lenses from Canon that aren't weather sealed either. But man, at this price point, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't seem like adding weather sealing would be that big of a deal. Now, obviously, I don't manufacture lenses, so I'm sure there are reasons. But this lens would have been perfect if it had it. So for build, the 42.5 gets a very, very solid 9.5 out of 10. So next up is AF speed and accuracy. If you've had the opportunity to shoot other f1.2 lenses from the likes of, say, Canon, for example, then you probably know they really aren't known for their lightning fast focus capabilities. In fact, it's one of the few things that has kept me personally, or discouraged me personally, from using the Canon 85 f1.2 more regularly. For example, I love that lens, but it is so slow to focus. So I've been sort of conditioned to believe that f1.2 equals slow focus. Well, this is an area where the Pani surprises. Not only is the focus completely silent, it's also unbelievably fast too. Let me just demo this really quickly. I mean, this is pretty amazing. Okay, the beep is on, right? And you hear that? I mean, it's pretty fast. It was such a pleasant surprise. And again, with my copy, I'm nailing focus pretty consistently. For example, a couple of weeks ago, my brother and I traveled to Kansas City to see my beloved Patriots take on the Kansas City Chiefs in a Monday night game. If you happen to see that game, then you know it was an absolute crap show put on by the Patriots. They got shellacked. I think the final score was like 42-14. Now, a total side note, Arrowhead Stadium and the Chiefs fans were absolutely great. They were actually very gracious to us in defeat. It was the same night that they also broke the Seattle record for the loudest crowd. Anyway, that's all neither here nor there. The point was, I brought the 42.5 Nocticron, made it to an Olympus OMD EM1 with me. We had great seats. We're only about 20 rows off the field. And I started shooting the game as it unfolded. And the Pani was nailing focus in shot after shot after shot. I mean, it was pretty cool. I mean, here are a few examples from the game. Check these out. Pretty cool, huh? Well, the bottom line is, in my experience, the Pani finds focus with lightning agility and deadly accuracy. I've read in a few other places that the AF on this lens is a bit funky and not all that accurate, but I have to say, that hasn't been my experience. At the game, for example, or just in general, I have a bunch of keepers, and I don't seem to be missing focus much at all, especially at f1.2, which is where I think you're going to want to shoot a lens like this a big chunk of the time. Keep in mind, though, that because the sensor size in Micro Four Thirds is so much smaller, the depth of field equivalent is something like a stop wider, like something maybe like f2.5 or f2.8. Somebody can correct me on that. I don't know the exact number of stops. But the point that means, though, if your subject moves a little bit after the camera has found focus, chances are pretty good you're still going to get the shot in focus. The same can't be said for wide aperture glass in a full frame sensor, because f1.2 in a full frame is so narrow. So if anybody moves, then the shot's going to be out of focus. But anyway, for AF speed and accuracy, the Nocticron just nails it and easily gets a 10 out of 10. So next up is optical quality and the quality of the results. It's built like a tank, it focuses quickly and accurately, but what about the optics? Well, I've been shooting the 42.5 for several weeks now, and I have to say the results are really impressive. I'm getting sharp, consistent photographs across the frame, straight from f1.2. In fact, I go as far as to say that I haven't had a performance this sharp in a prime for Micro Four Thirds since the Olympus 75mm f1.8, which is an incredible and amazing lens and is still one of my favorite lenses for the entire system. I could spend the next 10 minutes or so raving about the results from the 42.5, even at the pixel peeping level, as they are just amazingly sharp. But rather than tell you about the image quality, I'd rather just show you the image quality. The next 2 minutes or so will be a series of stills and video clips showcasing the optical goodness of the 42.5mm from Panasonic, and this thing is awesome. So last up is value. And let's be very clear, Panasonic set out to make a great, high-quality lens with very few compromises. And by and large, I'd say they succeeded, and mightily. This thing is built like a tank, as there's metal everywhere. It has a fast f1.2 aperture, which is great for those low-light situations, think weddings and events. and a lightning quick and accurate focus motor. So, what's not to love? Well, for starters, quality like this has to come at a price. It ain't cheap. And at $1,498, this is one of the most expensive lenses available in the entire Micro Four Thirds system. Now, in Panasonic's defense, this was never intended to be a great value, like, say, the Olympus 45mm f1.8 is. The Pani, on the other hand, was intended to be a great lens from the jump, and it is. Now, I can accept the high price if the lens delivers optically or gives you something different from the competition. And with a wide f1.2 aperture and amazing build quality, and super sharp optics, at least you're getting what you pay for. I just wish this were weather sealed. So for value, we gave the 42.5 a very solid 9 out of 10. Okay, it's that time again. We made it to the end of another one. It's time to wrap up this review and reach a conclusion for the Panasonic 42.5mm f1.2 lens. So here goes. The build quality. This thing is metal from the lens mount all the way to the lens hood. It's incredibly solid and aesthetically pretty. It's the best built lens we've tested for the Micro Four Thirds system. The only real nit was the lack of weather sealing. And frankly, at nearly $1,500, we thought that was a bit of a travesty. But apart from that, it's perfect. We gave the build a 9.5 out of 10. Autofocus speed and accuracy. Unlike other f1.2 glass with AF from systems that are out there, like say from Canon, the Panasonic has lightning quick autofocus. The focus motor is also silent and deadly accurate. Now, I've seen in some places or read some reviews that say that the AF is inconsistent, but that has not been our experience at all with the lens. We're nailing focus, even at f1.2, the overwhelming majority of the time. So for AF speed and accuracy, the 42.5 gets a perfect 10 out of 10. Optical quality and the quality of the results. This thing is sharp and amazing straight from f1.2. You only really begin to see image quality degradation fall off at about f8 when diffraction begins to set in. The level of detail that I'm able to capture, especially when pixel peeping, which is something you should never do, is pretty amazing. I have to say the Panasonic has just done an outstanding job here, as optically, the 42.5 is just awesome. So we gave it a 9.5 for optical quality and a 10 for the quality of the results. Value. I'd be really critical of the nearly $1,500 price tag if the Pani wasn't something special or if it didn't deliver optically. But the fact of the matter is, it delivers in nearly every critical area: build quality, autofocus speed and accuracy, optical quality, etc. The cup is just overflowing with photographic delight. If it weren't, we'd let you know. But such quality has to come at a price. By the way, did I mention this thing isn't weather sealed? Anyway, so for value, we give the Pani a 9 out of 10. Overall, it gets 48 out of 50 and earns our highly coveted Editor's Choice Award. The final word. If you're a professional who wants to lighten his or her load and consider the Micro Four Thirds system, then here's yet another lens in the growing arsenal of Micro Four Thirds lenses targeting professionals. With amazing build, fast and accurate autofocus, and amazing optics, lens after lens after lens from Panasonic and Olympus are convincing more and more photographers to take a long, hard look at the Micro Four Thirds system. The Panasonic 42.5 is just another big leap towards getting DSLR diehards off the fence and into the world of Micro Four Thirds. Again, if you're a pro and you're considering Micro Four Thirds, then I'll just say it right now. This is one of the absolute must-have lenses in the Micro Four Thirds system. This is Darren Miles with Darren Miles Photography, based here in beautiful, sunny Naples, Florida. If you like these reviews, please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and until the next time, happy shooting.